I never thought I'd be the one holding the detonator to my own life. But there I was, finger trembling over the enter key, staring down the men who'd buried me alive in their lies. 8 minutes. That's all it took to watch $295 million evaporate like morning fog off the Hudson. And in those ticking seconds, I realized revenge isn't sweet. It's the bitter aftertaste of everything you ever trusted turning to ash. Call me crazy. But as the servers hummed their death rattle and the boardroom erupted in screams, I felt freer than I had in years, until the twist hit, and freedom started tasting like handcuffs. My name is Samantha Hale, and the last time I trusted a handshake, it cost me 5 years in a federal pen for embezzlement I didn't commit. Picture this. It's 2018, and I'm 32, fresh off a Harvard MBA, striding into the glass tower of Apex Ventures in Midtown Manhattan like I own the damn place. Which, in a way, I did, or at least, I thought I was building toward it. My husband, Derek, the golden boy of Wall Street with his Ivy League charm and shark's grin, had convinced me to join his firm. We're partners in everything, Sam. He'd whispered that night in our Tribeca loft, his breath warm against my neck as the city lights flickered like distant stars. You handle the ops. I'll chase the deals. Together, we'll flip this city on its head. God, I was naive. Apex was Derek's baby. A hedge fund that specialized in high-frequency trading, those algorithmic voodoo tricks that made billionaires out of code nerds overnight.
I dove in head first.
Restructuring the back office, streamlining compliance, turning chaos into a well-oiled machine. Late nights blurred into dawn, fueled by cold brew and the promise of equity shares that would set us up for life. Derek's pitches were electric. He'd saunter into investor meetings in his bespoke Tom Ford suits, spinning tales of 300% returns like a televangelist promising salvation. And me, I was the invisible wizard behind the curtain, the one who made sure the numbers added up. The SEC filings were airtight. The trades didn't trigger any red flags. But cracks showed early, if I'd bothered to look. Derek started coming home later, smelling of bourbon and Chanel No. 5 that wasn't mine. Just schmoozing clients. Babe, he'd say, planting a kiss on my forehead like I was some suburban housefrau. I swallowed it, because ambition tastes better than suspicion. Then came the whispers in the elevator, traders side-eyeing me, murmuring about Derek's trophy wife running spreadsheets. I ignored them, buried myself deeper in the work. By 2020, Apex had ballooned to a $500 million assets under management, and I was gunning for partner. Derek promised it was a done deal. That's when the betrayal hit like a freight train. It was a Tuesday in March, rain slicking the streets outside our office on the 47th floor. I'd been up since 4 a.m., auditing a suspicious batch of trades, offshore accounts funneled through Cayman shells, numbers that didn't match the books. My gut screamed fraud, but I told myself it was a glitch, a fat finger error from some junior quant. I flagged it to Derek in his corner office, the one with the Eames chair and the Warhol on the wall. We need to disclose this, I said, sliding the report across his desk. His face went slack for a split second, long enough for me to see the panic, before he recovered with that boyish smile. Sam, you're overthinking. It's nothing. Trust me, I didn't. That night, I copied the files to a thumb drive, my hands shaking as I backed up everything. Paranoia? Maybe. But by morning, the feds were swarming the lobby, badges flashing like paparazzi bulbs. Derek had flipped the script overnight, an anonymous tip to the SEC. pointing straight at me. My wife handled all the ops, he told the agents, voice cracking just enough to sell the heartbroken spouse angle. I had no idea. The evidence? Forged emails from my account, timestamps I'd never seen, authorizing the siphoning of $12 million into ghost accounts. My thumb drive vanished from my desk drawer, courtesy of whatever fixer he had on payroll. They cuffed me in the boardroom, right in front of the partners who'd toasted me at the holiday gala. Samantha Hale, you're under arrest for wire fraud and money laundering. The words echoed off the glass walls as Derek stood in the doorway, eyes downcast, playing the devastated husband. I screamed at him then, raw and unfiltered. You son of a bitch. This was you. But the agents dragged me out, past the gawking receptionists and the Bloomberg terminals frozen on red arrows. In the van to Foley Square, I pieced it together. The late nights weren't schmoozing. They were cover for Derek's side hustle. Skimming trades to fund his gambling debts, poker dens in Atlantic City. High-stakes games where he'd lost six figures in a single hand. And me? I was the fall guy. The detail-oriented wife who'd overseen it all. The trial was a circus. Tabloids dubbed it Wall Street's Wicked Wife, plastering my mugshot next to Derek's teary interview on CNBC. I still love her. But the betrayal. It's destroyed me. Our lawyer, some silver-tongued K Street hack Derek hired, advised me to take the plea, 5 years at Alderson, the low-security camp in West Virginia, where Martha Stewart did her time. Fight it, and I'd rot in a real prison. I signed, seething, as Derek filed for divorce from the visitor's room, citing irreconcilable differences. He walked away with the loft, the summer place in the Hamptons, and Apex, now rebranded as Hale Capital in a sick twist of irony. I got visitation rights to our dog, Rufus, and a promise of alimony that never materialized. Prison was a slow bleed. No conjugal visits, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the stink of institutional chow. I worked in the library, poring over legal texts smuggled in by a sympathetic guard, cases on fiduciary breach, spousal privilege, forensic accounting. The other inmates called me Wall Street, ribbing me about my fancy spreadsheets. But underneath the jokes, I stewed. Derek wasn't just a cheat. He was a chameleon, flipping from doting husband to informant without breaking a sweat. And there was more, a secret he'd buried deeper than the fraud. Whispers from a former trader. Visiting on a pretext, Derek hadn't started the scheme alone. His mentor,
Victoire,
the firm's shadowy co-founder, had pulled the strings, using Apex as a front for laundering Russian oligarch money. Derek took the heat off Victor by feeding me to the wolves. Victor, in turn, rewarded him with a board seat and a 7-figure bonus. I got out in 2023, early for good behavior, stepping into a Brooklyn halfway house with $200 in gate money and a chip on my shoulder the size of Manhattan. The city had moved on. Apex, Hale Capital, was a $295 million juggernaut now. Derek strutting as CEO on Forbes lists, Victor pulling levers from the advisory shadows. I changed my name legally to Sam Rivera, dyed my hair ash blonde, and crashed on a cousin's couch in Queens. Day 1. I hit the streets, barista gigs by day, night classes in cybersecurity at CUNY. But revenge? It simmered. A low boil I couldn't ignore. I needed proof. Leverage, something to yank the rug out from under them both. It started small. I friend an ex-Apex intern on LinkedIn, posing as a headhunter. She bit, spilling tea over virtual coffees, Derek's coke habit. Victor's special projects with encrypted servers in the cloud.
Then,
A break. A disgruntled coder. Fired for whistleblowing. Reached out via a dark web forum. They think you're done, he messaged. But the back doors are still there. For $5,000 scraped from odd jobs. He handed me the keys. Admin access to Hale Capital's legacy systems. The ones I'd built before the fall. Nights blurred into code marathons in the public library. My laptop screen glowing like a confessional. I mapped their empire. Algorithms trading on insider tips. Dark pools hiding the oligarch flows. Victor was the puppet master. Derek the eager puppet, flipping loyalties like poker chips. But the real gut punch? The secret I'd borne for them unknowingly. Buried in the metadata of those forged emails was a trail leading back to 2017, a car accident in the Hamptons. Derek behind the wheel, high on Molly, plowing into a family of 4 migrant workers. 2 dead. The parents. Victor covered it up, paying off cops and witnesses. Then pinned a lesser charge on me as accessory after the fact in the divorce papers, another lie to seal my silence. I'd signed without reading, trusting the man I loved. I'd carried that ghost for years, while they built fortunes on blood money. By spring 2025, I had the blueprint. Not just exposure, destruction. A kill switch, woven into their trading platform. One command, and it'd flood the market with bogus orders, crashing their liquidity in minutes. Controversial? Hell yes. Illegal? Borderline vigilantism. But as I stared at my reflection in the library window, older, harder, unbreakable, I knew this wasn't justice. It was reckoning. The plan crystallized over takeout lo mein in my cousin Maria's cramped Storia kitchen. The kind of place where the roaches had their own zip code and the AC wheezed like an asthmatic uncle. Maria, a no-nonsense air nurse with tattoos peeking from her scrubs, eyed me over her chopsticks. Sammy, this sounds like a suicide note. You hack their system. You end up back inside, or worse. I shrugged, chasing rice with cheap Merlot. Better than letting them dance on my grave. She didn't push, family doesn't. Not in this city, where survival's the family business. But her words stuck, a splinter under my skin as I fine-tuned the code on a burner laptop. Hale Capital's fortress was no joke, firewalls thicker than Derek's denial. Encrypted with quantum-grade bullshit Victor had imported from some Tel Aviv startup. But I'd built the foundation. I knew the weak seams. The legacy ports left open for compatibility. Posing as a freelance consultant, I wormed in via a phishing email to their IT drone, baited with a fake job offer from Goldman. Once inside, it was surgical. Ghost accounts mirroring their trades, siphoning microfractions of data, building a shadow ledger. Every keystroke logged their sins. $8 million to a shell corp linked to Victor's Russian friends, Derek signing off on shorts against dying hospitals during the pandemic. Greed with a side of sociopathy. But revenge isn't a solo act. It demands accomplices. And mine came reluctant. First, Lena, the intern who'd gone corporate mom in Jersey, trading power suits for PDA meetings. I met her at a playground in Hoboken, pushing swings while our kids, hers real, mine hypothetical, chased pigeons. He ruined you, she whispered after I laid it bare. No tears, just facts. And now he's poaching my designs for his wife's startup. Lena's an architect. Brilliant. But Derek had borrowed her blueprints for Hale's new HQ, slapping his name on the permits. She handed over her old access fob, swiped from a forgotten drawer. Make it hurt. Then there was Jax, the coder, a lanky Queen's kid with more piercings than paychecks, holed up in a Bushwick squat. He chain-smoked while patching my worm, ranting about the man in Valley slang. Victor's got dirt on everyone's senators. Celebs. You pull this, it's Pandora's I'll go. I bought his silence with a cut of my alimony windfall, finally clawed back via a pro bono shark from the Innocence Project. Jax flipped moods like channels, paranoid 1 minute, gung-ho the next, mirroring the antagonist in my head. Victor, with his silver fox mane and Cold War eyes, wasn't just scheming, he was a shapeshifter, allying with feds one day, mobbed up Russians the next. Derek? His flip was personal, but Victor's were chess moves in a game where pawns like me got sacrificed. As summer baked the asphalt, tension coiled tighter. I tailed Derek to his new penthouse on Billionaires Row, watching him through binoculars from a rooftop across the park. He was softer now, belly straining his Brioni shirts, arm candy a bottle blonde half his age, some influencer named Brit with more filters than scruples. They'd argue on the balcony, her voice shrill, "You promised equity." He'd laugh it off. But I saw the cracks, the way he'd glance at his phone, waiting for Victor's nod. One night, I slipped a bug under their Range Rover, harvesting pillow talk, Victor pressuring Derek to greenlight a shady IPO, something in AI weapons tech, funneled through Apex's old pipes. The moral rot gnawed at me. Was I any better? Lurking in shadows. Weaponizing code? Maria called it eye for an eye blindness. Lena worried about collateral, traders losing nest eggs, the firm imploding jobs. Jax? He thrived on the edge. But even he balked when I outlined the climax. Not a leak, but a cascade. At the next board meeting, I'd remote trigger the kill switch during their quarterly demo. 8 minutes of automated sells, spoofed buys tanking the stock, exposing the ledgers mid-plunge. The SEC would swarm like locusts, Victor's oligarchs would bolt. Derek left holding the smoking gun. Controversy brewed in my veins. Trigger it. And innocence suffered. Retirees with hail mutuals. The cleaning crew suddenly unemployed. But hold back? Let Derek's empire metastasize. Poisoning more lives? I flipped like, Victor. Justification cycling. This is for the migrants he killed. For the marriage he gutted. For the years I lost to his cowardice. Sleep came in fits, haunted by what-ifs. What if Derek had a change of heart? What if Victor sniffed me out first? He almost did. September hit with a heat wave, and I was in a cyber cafe off Flatbush when my alerts pinged, Hale's security sniffing anomalies, tracing IPs back to Brooklyn proxies. I ghosted, ditching burners. But not before Victor's fixer. A goon named Marco with a neck tat and a Glock bulge started shadowing my tail. Paranoia peaked at a bodega on Myrtle. I grabbed a six-pack, turned, and there he was, pretending to browse lotto tickets. Heart hammering, I bolted through alleys, losing him in a graffiti maze. Back at Maria's, I packed a go bag, passports,
Cash.
the kind of kit you assemble when trust dies. That's when the first flip came. Not from them.
But me.
Jax called. Voice wired. They know about Lena. Derek's offering her a settlement. Non-disclosure. Fat check. Rage boiled. Betrayal's echo. I confronted her over burner Skype, her face crumpling on pixelated feed. Sam. I have kids. He threatened custody. She hadn't ratted, but the fold stung. Jax, sensing blood, tried to bail, This is too hot. I'm out. I talked him down with a guilt trip laced with green. Extra cut if we pulled through. Flips everywhere. Loyalties as fluid as the Hudson Tide. October brought the hook. An invite to the board gala. Hail Capital's big bash at the Met. Black tie schmooze fest for VCs and Pauls. Derek's doing. Anonymous tipster, wishing to make amends. Trap? Maybe. Opportunity? Absolutely. I'd go as Elena Voss, Lena's cousin. Blonde wig and off-the-rack Chanel knockoff. Slip in. Sync my phone to the demo rig. Wait for the keynote. Victor would be there. Toasting his web, Derek preening center stage. The night arrived crisp. Leaves crunching under Louboutin knockoffs I'd scored on Canal Street. The Met's great hall shimmered, chandeliers dripping light on tuxes and gowns. Air thick with caviar and ambition. I nursed a flute of Veuve, scanning faces. Senators schmoozing. A Kardashian clone giggling at Derek's elbow. Brit, the fiancée, clung like kudzu. Her dress a sequin scream. Victor held court by the Temple of Dender. His laugh a gravelly rumble. Eyes scanning like radar. I sidled up during canapés, accidentally spilling shrimp cocktail on Brit's Manolos. Oh, God. I'm so sorry. Feign mortification. Dabbing with a napkin while palming her phone, unlocked. Synced in seconds. Derek appeared. All charm. No harm.
Miss.
Let me get you a drink. Up close. He hadn't changed, same cleft chin. Same cologne that once meant home. Our eyes locked. Recognition flickered. Then denial. Have we met? He asked. Voice oily. Not yet, I murmured, slipping away before the bluff cracked. Heart pounding. I ghosted to the coat check. Uploading the sync. The kill switch hummed in my pocket. App primed. But as string quartets swelled and Victor took the mic, to innovation without bounds, doubt clawed. One tap, and empires fell. But whose hands got clean? The gala dragged like a bad trade. Every toast a reminder of the knife edge I balanced on. I hovered in the shadows of the Egyptian wing, phone burning a hole in my clutch. The app's red icon pulsing like a migraine. Victor droned on about disruptive synergies, his accent a faint Eastern burr betraying Baltic roots, ex-KGB whispers I'd uncovered in prism letters from a nosy journo. Derek flanked him, nodding like a bobblehead, Brit beaming vacantly. The board, stiff suits with Rolex gleam, clapped politely, oblivious to the storm brewing in my code. Jax texted from his squat, proxies holding. You green? Lena radio silence, her fold echoed in my isolation. Marco the fixer lurked by the bar. Scanning crowds. Had Derek tipped him? Paranoia spiked. I ditched to the ladies, splashing water on my face, staring down the blonde stranger in the mirror. You're not her anymore, I whispered. But the ghosts crowded, the migrants' faces from yellowed news clips. Derek slurred I got this before the crash. Victor's check for discretion, I'd shredded in fury. Back in the hall. The keynote shifted to demo time, Derek at the podium. Unveiling Apex 2.0, their AI trading beast. Screens flickered alive. Graphs spiking green. Watch as it predicts. Pivots. Profits in real time. The crowd oohed. I inched closer. Thumb on the trigger. 3 minutes to sink fully. But then, Victor's eyes found mine across the room, cold, appraising, like he'd scented prey. He murmured to Derek, who glanced my way, brow furrowing. Abort?
No. Too deep.
The flip came swift. Brit, tipsy and territorial.
Cornered me by the obelisk.
You're that intern's friend, right? The one Derek helped. Venom dripped. She'd sniff the poach. I played dumb, just networking. She laughed. Sharp as glass. He helps everyone until he doesn't. Ask his ex. Her eyes narrowed. Phone in hand, had she snapped my pic? I bolted, weaving through tuxes. Pulse thundering. Outside. Under the portico. Rain slicked the steps. Cabs honked in the night.
Marco emerged.
Blocking my path. MS. Hail? A word. The name drop froze me. He grabbed my arm. Grip like iron. Ex-cop. Probably. With knuckles scarred from bar fights. Victor's curious. Old friends reconnecting. I twisted free. Knee to his groin. Old prison moves from self-defense class. He wheezed, I ran. Heels clacking on wet pavement. Hailing an Uber to God knows where. In the back seat. Shaking. I hit execute. Partial sink. Enough to seed the worm. Not full plunge. But a tease. Anomalous trades flickering on their demo screens mid-pitch. Chaos erupted via live feed on my phone. Traders scrambling. Derek's face paling as graphs dipped red. Technical glitch, he barked. But the crowd murmured. Phones out. Tweeting hail fail. Victor's mask slipped, barking orders in guttural Russian. Satisfaction surged, bitter as bile. I'd nicked them, drawn first blood. But Marco's shadow lingered. By dawn, my halfway house had a tail, unmarked sedan idling curbside. Hiding meant regrouping. I crashed at Jax's. The squad a haze of weed and Red Bull cans. Servers whirring in a corner like mechanical heartbeats. He paced. Twitchy. You half-assed it? They're locking down now. Quantum sweeps. The works. Guilt twisted. Lena's silence screamed abandonment. But Jax flipped again.
Eyes ligating, scrowing.
Let's go nuclear. We hold up 3 days. Rain lashing windows. Coding frenzy to fortify the kill switch. I confessed the accident secret, migrants' names, Rosa and Miguel Vargas. Lives erased for a payout. Jax paused. Joint dangling. That's heavy.
Some.
This ain't just payback. It's biblical. Biblical fit. Victor's empire wasn't clean. My sleuthing unearthed more. Laundered funds arming Ukrainian black markets. Derek greenlighting shorts on green energy while preaching ESG at Davos. Hypocrisy stacked like Jenga, ready to topple. But controversy loomed. My worm could cascade globally, rippling to pension funds. For a 1Ks of folks who'd never touched Wall Street grime. Polarizing. Yeah, heroes or hackers. I drafted a manifesto. Time to drop on WikiLeaks. Ledgers. Emails. The crash cover-up.
No bailain.
Just truth bombs. Marco struck midweek. Kicking in the door at 2 a.m., silencer cough. Jax diving behind crates. I grabbed a lamp. Swinging wild. It cracked his skull. Buying seconds. Jax fired a taser. Zaps and curses. Then we fled through fire escape. Into Brooklyn night. Sirens wailed. We split. Me to Maria's. Him underground. Her apartment was sanctuary. Eras con pollo steaming as she bandaged my split lip. End this. Prima. Before it ends you. Wisdom from the front lines. November chilled the air. Leaves rotting in gutters. Derek reached out via burner. How'd he get the number? Voice slurry. Sam. If that's you, we need to talk. Victor's unhinged. Flip numero uno from him, scapegoating the mentor. I met at a dive in Red Hook, fog rolling off the bay, booth sticky with spilled IPA. He slid in opposite, unshaven, eyes bloodshot. The glitch? That was you. I know it.
No anger.
Just weariness. Victor's cutting me loose, says I'm liability.
Blames deskiem on Mistrzostwom Europy.
Sympathy flickered, Stockholm echo, but I quashed it. You blamed me first. He leaned in, breath boozy. I panicked.
The debts.
The accident. Victor owned me after that. Said he'd bury us both if I talked. Tears welled. Manipulative or real? He flipped again. Help me take him down. We split the empire. Your shares reinstated. Temptation clawed. A life rebuilt. Not raised. But his eyes darted. Wire? Trap? I bolted, leaving him with a tab and a warning. 8 minutes. That's all you got left. Back in code purgatory, a queen's laundromat with free Wi-Fi. Washers thumping like war drums. I armored the switch. Full cascade. Spoofed cells dumping $200 mill in seconds. Ledgers auto-posting to blockchain. Unerasable. Twist. A backdoor for Derek's accounts only, his personal fortune intact. If he testified. Mercy? Insurance? Controversial as hell, saving the betrayer while scorching the field. Jack's bought in remotely, slick. Makes M choose sides. Thanksgiving loomed. Turkey ads mocking my solitude. Maria hosted a skeleton crew, Tio with his stories. Kids finger-painting pilgrims. I played auntie, but inside. Countdown ticked. Victor's reach extended. Lena called. Voice breaking. They're suing me.
Sam.
For theft. Derek's flip, using her fob trace against her. Rage purified, no more halves. I'd hit the Gala Redux. Their emergency summit at the Rainbow Room. December 1st. Top of Rockefeller. Views to eternity. Irony thick. Prep was ritual. Wig freshened. Dress black, as intent. Phone fortified. Marco's face haunted. Had Jax iced him? No word. Tension peaked in the cab up 6th. Empire State blurring past. A monolith I'd toppled once. Valet took the Uber. I ascended. Heels echoing marble. The room gleamed city sprawl below. Like ants ripe for crushing. Derek at the bar. Nursing scotch. Victor center table. Cabal of suits. They spotted me simultaneous. Derek's gasp. Victor's predator smile. Welcome back. Samantha. Victor purred. Accent thick. To the prodigal's feast. No running now. The plunge awaited. The Rainbow Room's band crooned Sinatra, ironic. My way, as I crossed the parquet floor. Every step a gauntlet. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light on the faces turning my way, board members mid-bite. Forks hovering like guillotines. Derek frozen. Glass to lips. Victor serene. Gesturing a seat as if I were invited guest. Not saboteur. Champagne, he offered, popping a cork with theatrical flair. The pop echoed my pulse, sync complete. App live. 6 minutes to showtime. I sat, spine steel, accepting the flute. To old debts, I toasted, eyes on Victor. Up close. He was fossilized charm, liver-spotted hands. Cufflinks glinting Cyrillic script. You've been busy. Emis.
Hale.
Or should I say Rivera? He knew, had since the gala. Marco's handiwork. No doubt. Derek shifted, sweating through his shirt. Sam. Don't. But Victor waved him silent, flipping command like a coin. Your husband's right. This ends tonight. Amicably. Amicable. The word curdled. I sipped, stalling. As the city twinkled below, millions oblivious to the god complex up here. Tell me about the Vargas family, I said, voice level. Victor's mask twitched, first crack.
Who?
Derek blanched, spilling foam. I laid it out. The crash. The payout. The cover that chained me. You made me the monster. Time to own yours. The board murmured. Phones emerging, leak imminent? Victor leaned in. Voice velvet over gravel. Life's trades. Samantha. You profited too, your salary, your shares. We all bear scars. Philosophy from a launderer. He flipped. Join us. Victor Lang doesn't forget talent. Co-CEO. Clean slate. Temptation serpent. Coiling. Derek nodded frantic. He's serious?
Babe.
We rebuild together. His eyes pleaded. Flip complete from foe to family man. As if 5 years erased the cuffs. Polarization hit like vertigo. Them. Offering redemption. A villain's bargain. Me. Destroyer. But whose justice? The app buzzed, worm primed. Trades queuing. For minutes. A waiter circled. Refilling, I palmed his tray napkin. Scribbling a URL, manifesto link, for the nearest suit. A wide-eyed VP named Carla. Read later, I whispered. Seed planted. Victor pressed. What's it to be? Empire or exile? His hand brushed mine, cold. Paternal. Revulsion surged. This man who'd flipped nations. Now flipping me like a mark. 8 minutes, I said. Standing. Derek lunged. Wait. But I was at the window, overlooking the ice rink below. Skaters twirling oblivious. Thumb hovered. 3 minutes. The plunge. Enter key depressed. Code unleashing. Screens in the private lounge. Traders' feeds visible flickered. Gasps rippled. Derek's phone exploded in alerts. Stock ticker plunging crimson. What the? Victor barked. Slamming table. But too late. Cascade hit. Bogus sells flooding NYSE. Hail shares cratering from $47 to pennies in heartbeats. Emails auto-sent. Ledgers to DOJ.
Crashdocs zonut.
2 minutes. Oligarch wires frozen. Victor's face ashen as Russian texts lit his burner. Chaos reigned, suits bolting for elevators. Carla gaping at her napkin link. Already scrolling. Derek grabbed my arm. You bitch, you took mine too. No, his personal untouched.
Per design.
Testify, I hissed. Or it all burns. He hesitated. Flip flickering. Loyalty to Victor or self. 1 minute. Servers whined distant. $295 million vaporizing in algorithmic fire. Victor lunged. But security, his own, hauled him back. Sirens wailing below.
0.
Silence fell. Broken by Derek's sob. Why? I met his eyes. The boy I'd loved drowned in the man. Because you made me a ghost. Now haunt your own. I walked out. Heels steady. Into the chill December night, 2025 folding into tomorrow.
But the twist?
As cabs ferried the damned downstairs. My phone pinged, not alerts. But a video from Jax, Marco, zip-tied in the squat. but free now. Grinning. Loose end tied. Boss.
No, where's?
A follow-up, Lena's face.
Tear-streaked. Some. Derek.
He offered more. I'm in. Betrayal's echo.
But mine?
Jax's text appended. She's wired. Feds incoming. Your play? Handcuffs loomed. My worm traced. Lena's fold the bait. Victor's empire dust.
But mine?
A Pyrrhic throne. Debated in headlines. Vigilante or villain. Derek testified. Flipping final, Victor in cuffs by dawn. But cutting plea for my head. I vanished into the subway throng. Ghost again. Freer in chains unseen. Was it worth it? Asked the Vargas's ghosts. The traitors ruined. The city scarred.
Revenge, no winners.
Just survivors arguing the score. And me?
Samantha Hale.
Unbowed. Unburied. Watching from overhead. Plug pulled. Empire's echo fading into the roar.